got to mute my video as soon as it pops up on YouTube. Okay. So yeah, we're just waiting for the loading bar from webinar to YouTube live. And once we get a live feed, we'll get started. Okay, we are live with Alex Pardee and Dave.
Hello.
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Hey, how's it going? I'm doing great.
Awesome. So this is the second in a series of panels for Driveway Con, which will be happening right outside the garage this week in San Diego. We're going to have about 7 vendors just hanging out. Super duper limited amount of people in my front yard. Hopefully the police don't come and shut us down.
Oh, that's cool. You're actually having out in the driveway. That's amazing.
Yeah, we've got 5 sessions set up. So we're going to do Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning, and Sunday afternoon. And so we're going to allow 25 people per block. And so on my sidewalk, I'm just going to take, chalk and kind of mark it up like, people down the sidewalk to kind of come in, and we're going to be very limited. Everybody masked up, everybody have gloves on, all that stuff. But in you guys are right in the middle of NoCon 2020. Is that right?
We are.
Yeah, it's day 44 of NoCon.
Yeah, it feels like it, I think.
Nice.
I think we are dead in the middle, right?
This is the halfway point. No, this is over halfway point.
Yeah, I think yesterday was the halfway point.
Yeah, we started last Friday and kicked it off with just at noon. At noon, Alex and I hopped on and we just talked about NoCon, hit play on all the products. They all went live, and then we've been streaming every day since 3 times a day, probably. Different things. We've had a movie night. We did I did a mask making thing. Alex did a mask making thing. 2
very different masks.
They were very different. Yeah. I made this guy right here, or I showed how to make like a latex mask out of like paper mache or mask latex.
Is that the Cheddar Goblin?
What's that?
Is that Cheddar Goblin?
I kind of.
Oh, it kind of. It didn't occur to me, but it is kind of a little bit. Yeah.
What's that? Cheddar Goblin
from Mandy.
From Mandy.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Remember the goblin that barfs?
Could be, yeah. I was kind of basing it off of the bog witch in the movie Legend. Remember at the end?
Yeah.
That's my vibe, whatever. But yeah, so anyway, we've been doing like what else we do? I did a oil painting seminar. Alex made a light bulb or eyeball light mask.
Awesome.
I've done some sculpture work.
This one's creepier.
Oh, well, your green screen is killing it.
It's invisible. No, it's making it better.
Sick.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
It's an invisibility mask.
Well, you have like a tunnel going through your face. It looks like Westworld, kind of. That's sick.
That's cool.
But yeah, so we have more things planned. We done some product review. I think coming up this week we have another movie night. I don't even know. I had to like look at the schedule.
We have the masquerade, which is going to be fun. We have people inspired by our artwork to kind of dress up, and we're going to have a masquerade on Saturday night, just like at Comic Con. So
yeah,
so we're doing that through Discord. We're basically trying to use all of our different kind of outlets to have different catered events towards them. So with Discord, you can share photos and back and forth stuff. So we've been having, like we're doing the masquerade on Discord because everybody can share their photos. So.
Okay. Yeah. Let me just interrupt for a second. What I want to do is I want to bring your guys' website full on the screen. I'm going to attempt to do a screen share. This my first time doing it live. Hopefully it works. Let's check it out.
Hopefully it doesn't hurt.
And we can see. Let's see. Screen sharing option only host. All right. Here we go. Desktop 2. And share. Okay. So I've just pulled up your guys' website. It is NoCon 2020.
Yes. And
so on each side of the screen, there's links to each one of your websites for exclusive merchandise for the con. So you can either click here on Alex on the left or Dave on the right, and it gives you all the information, as well as you guys are running an exhibit hall. So
we are.
So would these be the links to where people looks like we can find you on Twitch? I know you guys have been doing YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Can you guys tell us about the map?
Yeah, the map was an idea that Dave and I had where we basically wanted to, instead of just simply having like a merch drop online, we wanted to do as much as we could to make it kind of simulate a convention. So we figured that, you know, our online stores would act as our separate merch booths, and it made sense for us to feel like, how do we communicate that you buy separate things from separate sites? And we were like, well, if we make it like a convention map, you would go to a separate booth to buy Dave's stuff, then you would go to mine. So let's make the merch stuff a booth. Let's make the different Twitches a different booth. Let's make the YouTube a booth, so that you go, so that you're physically, or not physically, but like, you know, you're visiting different areas or different booths for our
And like at Comic-Con, when you have that map of all the panels, it's like, okay, in room 442, the Rob Zombie is going to speak, and at room 412, or whatever number, Kevin Smith's going to speak. So we wanted to have panels in different areas to, in a way, simulate that. But like, you know, different, you know, Twitch and has advantages over Instagram, and then there's, you know, vice versa. So we wanted to cater to each live streaming platform differently depending on what we're doing. So below it is the scheduled events, and they all correspond to different live streaming platforms.
Yeah, and you can click on any of the events and it'll take you to where it's supposed to be. There's been a little bit of hiccups, basically because like it turned out that even though I tested it ahead of time, my YouTube stuff wasn't working, so we moved all that to Twitch and etc. But it says all of our stuff on our socials as well.
Yeah, we've found that Twitch seems to be the easiest, at least for us, to do a lot of the live streaming demos that we're doing. It just has a better capacity for, I don't know, it's just easier on the user end, and it's easier for the people who are in Discord who want to follow us there. Yeah, it just that seems to be like the better, in my opinion, the better platform.
Nice. Now, can we rewind a little bit, because I go back pretty far with you guys. We've all been doing, you know, Comic Con and APE and all those, you know, shows for a really, really long time.
Mm-hmm.
What I have your guys' setup from Comic Con last year, and I want to show the audience. If people don't recognize your faces right away, if you've been to San Diego Comic Con, you're definitely gonna remember this. So let me pull this up again real quick.
Yeah, real quick, Devin, when was the first year you did Comic-Con? I feel like I've known you as long as I've been doing these shows. I mean, I started doing these shows in 2002 or 3 or something like that. Is that? Yeah, I probably met you the first year we did it. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, that was 2002 in small press.
We were always in the same row too. You know, like they kind of stuck us in the same spot from time to time. I remember you were always in the same row with me and Wayshack and them.
Yeah, I think probably for at least 5 or 6 years, I was right next to you know, you and Wayshack and whoever else was at the booth with you guys. Yeah. Yeah. So let me just pull this up real quick, and we'll jump right back to that. Okay. Okay.
There it is.
So
there's the swamp hag.
So this thing is amazing. And you know, there's certain things that when I walk into the Comic-Con exhibit hall that just kind of give you a feeling. It's like the same kind of feeling you have at Christmas time or a Halloween, where it's just like there's just kind of like a certain feeling you get. And when I see this booth, I get that feeling of like, okay, it's the holiday of San Diego Comic-Con has happened. How did you guys build this? Just tell me everything you can about this amazing booth.
That was there. We just lucked out with getting the spot. That's the most haunted part of the exhibit hall.
They had a cabin there, and we just made it haunted.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about this the other day. Like Alex and I have always been really into booth design, even as far back as like the early small press days at like APE. We always wanted to have the biggest banner, the biggest this, the biggest that, and so we would always just every year just one up ourselves in a way, because we come back from a show going like, oh, we could have had more of this on display. We could have had more on that display. We could have had a taller, you know, a line of sight, you know, like, and I think at Comic-Con, especially, like, how do you stick out at Comic-Con when there's an X-Wing fighter down the way from you? You know, like we're over by PlayStation. There's like a huge God of War statue and like a mech suit that's like 20 feet tall. So for us at Comic-Con, we always wanted just to, you know, we're still in a way small press. Like we still publish our own stuff. We still do all of our own work. So like, how do we as like independent small press artists stick out at Comic-Con? And so, I mean, Alex and I think the design was mostly Alex's. Like why don't you talk about the design, Alex?
Well, yeah, I'll talk about the design in one second, but just on your note of like, how do we stand out? I think what's really funny is we've used that cabin that you see with the swamp hag. We used it 2 years in a row because we made it even better the second year. But the first year we had it, we're in kind of like the video game area, and catty corner to us, maybe 20 yards away, was a Resident Evil 7 booth that had a similar cabin, but
That's right.
it was just made out of like JPEGs.
Yeah.
Do you
That's
remember that,
right.
Dave? It had like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
wood grain. So it was a grayish banner or grayish farmhouse, and it looked this very same as like our cabin, but it like ours like just destroyed it because it was physically coming out at it and stuff. It was
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it did.
But yeah, like the design aspect of it was myself, Dave Correia, and John Wayshak have exhibited side by side or in the same booth for years. And one of the things that we've noticed throughout the years is like we'll have separate-ish booths, even though we have very similar tones to our work, similar personalities to our work. It's separate, and so there'll always be a little bit of a separation. So we decided that we wanted to get something that represented all three of us, that would equally look like either any one of us did it, but also would allow us to get a 20-foot booth instead of just having these small 8-foot tables. We could get like a bigger presence, so hopefully attract more people. So that was where the design aspect of it landed, and then we were just like kind of between the three of us decided on the subject matter of like how could we get something like mix in a little bit of like, okay, there's all the details that Wayshak does in the skull, the fact that all three of us pretty much do skulls. Let's make it pink. Dave was doing a lot of pink stuff. I always do pink stuff. So like, it was kind of like, let's fit it in.
Yeah. It was really a way to umbrella us all together, like in this like shanty town of a thing. We like the idea of like us like being like this little group, and the year before we had 3 heads kind of doing this. So like, oh, let's just get one.
Yeah, it was basically an evolution of what Dave designed originally for 2017.
Yeah, when we had the 3 heads and the curtains, and we had like lots of black that year. And one thing we felt was like, oh, like the black curtains, the black background, it just looked dark, So we decided. So Alex was like, oh, let's do a white cabin, that way everything will look kind of like all of our colors and stuff will look really cool against it, and it won't be as like sunken back, So it really was an evolution of just like years and years of just like small banner, big banner, all three of us together. Like it was like just an evolution of.
We did not build it or actually architect it though. We can't take any credit for that. That's all two friends of ours, Red 5 and Greg Aronowitz, are carpenters and effects specialists.
They're amazing. They work for they own a company called Barnyard Effects, and they do work for like Dark Crystal and movies and stuff like that. So like they know exactly what they're doing, and so we kind of hired them to do that for us. And it was a big thing. We had to get like a U-Haul truck, or like not even a U-Haul, like a moving truck, right?
It was a big investment, a little bit bigger investment than my zero setup that you have here in NoCon.
Yeah, when you do something that big, you have to hire Freeman to like get the forklift and bring it in and get there super early so you can get a spot. And like in last year, our booth got lost for a while. There was a big section of our booth. It was like the main wall in the back that everything basically is built off of. And we got there so early. You have to get there like at 6 a.m. in San Diego to like
2 days beforehand.
Right. So we had to leave LA at like 3 or 4 a.m. to get there. God. And you basically wait in this line. They unload your truck and they say, okay, your booth will be at your booth between like 8 and like noon. So you're just like, all right. So you like go out and get breakfast somewhere. And we got back and we waited for like so long. And like, they're like, yeah, we don't know where your booth is. We're like, oh. So we literally just like walked, me, Alex, and Wayshak just walked up. Yeah. We just split up and just like walked up and down every aisle of like pre-Comic Con. There's like forklifts everywhere. There's like rolled up paper, and someone, I think Alex found it, right? You found it.
We found it in the back, like behind the cafeteria.
It was just like shoved on against the wall, like on rollers. We're like, what the hell? Can we get this thing moved over there? So like, it was just, but like, that's the kind of thing you experience at Comic Con.
That's stressing me out just hearing that story.
It was, and because we couldn't even, so we get the thing, we had to build the whole thing. We had to get like, power tools and ladders and like all this stuff. So it's a huge thing to build that, it takes hours to build it.
Good God. Well, yeah, I mean, by far, every year you guys have the standout booth. So kudos on that. And, and also you're right when you walk in Hall A. So if you're coming down street, like First Street, and you walk in Hall A, it's like, you guys have like prime real estate.
Yeah, we like that spot.
I do miss it a little bit right now.
Yeah.
What's that?
I do miss it a little bit right now.
Yeah, me too.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So another thing that happened today is Comic Con at Home started.
Right.
And they have the big virtual map. So are you guys in the same spot on the virtual map if anybody's shopping?
Oh, that's a good question. We actually,
I haven't looked yet.
I was just going to say, Dave and I have been streaming all day, so I haven't had a chance to look since it opened. I went to go check it this morning and it wasn't loaded yet or something. So I haven't checked.
Did you guys enter all your product in for the
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you should be good to go. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys go to anybody that's watching this, anybody that goes to Comic Con, comic dot or
comic-con.org.
Right? Or is it comic-con.org. Yeah, that's right. So but yeah, there is a virtual map where you can shop like the same as if it was last year. Like most people have their same spots on the floor they had previous.
Oh, that's
year.
cool. I kind of didn't really realize that they were doing this. That's cool.
Yeah. So if you get tired of shopping at the NoCon website, I guess you can do it at the official website too. I want to talk about kind of the origin of NoCon, and I'm gonna do another screen share real quick. I got something queued up, and that is DaveCon.
Yeah.
Dude, look at that! Look at that inspirational booth.
I built a booth and everything.
Dude, that's sick.
So, you know how many times I like that took a while to do. I hope you guys appreciate that I built that booth. Look at the lanyards I laid out there in the corner.
I appreciate it, especially knowing now. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you can see
I like that you took time to show off your Blu-ray collection within the booth.
It's just shoved against my studio
and
wall.
all of your fantasy football trophies.
You know what's funny? So see how it says Dave Con? I have a sign that says Dave Correia. So that's actually an A. That's an A and an I.
I totally see that now.
I blacked out the middle part of the A and stuck an I on it.
Rad.
That's the only letters I had.
Also, I like that Dave Con is only one booth. It's not Dave Booth.
Of course.
It's not Dave Booth. It's
only Dave's. Only Dave's can exhibit there, and the only other Daves I know don't do comics. So it just came down to me. I invited 20 Daves, but no one came. All right, fine, I'm not going to do it.
Love it.
But in all seriousness, how did DaveCon get started?
So I was about to do Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle, and that got canceled 3 days before I was going to fly out. This is in March. This is whenever I think it's mid-March, March 10th, March 9th, something like that.
This year?
Yeah.
Whoa, I didn't realize it was that. For some reason, I thought it was last year. I was so my time is so messed up.
No, I was going to go to Seattle. I was packed up. I had everything done. This is all my merch for Emerald City Comic Con. And then seriously, I had a hotel booked. I had
that's right. Booked. That's because that's right. Okay, yeah.
You were going to come and visit me.
I know. And I ended up not because of COVID.
Exactly.
It got canceled, but I was in Hawaii, so that's crazy.
Yeah. So 3 or 4 days before I was going to fly out there, they canceled Emerald City Comic Con. And I seriously had my suitcase by the door. I had all this merchandise packed, and I had spent, when you do a convention, you spend months prepping for this. I mean, those sculptures I started back in December. I like that book I made a month before, so I had all this stuff ready to go. So I was financially in this, X amount of dollars. So I'm just like, what the hell, and I mean, and so they canceled it because of COVID, and I'm like, all right, that's totally fine. I get that. At that point, there was an outbreak in Seattle at a old person's right,
and it was pretty much Seattle.
That was kind of where it all started.
Seattle was the first really big epicenter of that stuff. So they just the governor's just nope, no gatherings more than 10 people. And Emerald City Comic Con is huge. It's 98,000 people. It's it's the second largest show, maybe third largest show in the country after San Diego and New York. So I'm just sitting there. I'm like, man. And actually, Alex, I think I was having a conversation with you. I'm like, I don't know what to do. What's going to happen? I'm like, F it. I'll just have DaveCon. I was kind of joking.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, you should. I'm just like, yeah, I should. you
Right,
know?
you
So
have
it's
the
like,
space. It's like you have the space, you have your studio, you have all this stuff set up, like you've
yeah,
tested the booth, like
yeah. So I had all this merch. What I usually do before a convention anyway is I usually make a mock booth at my studio. I have some space in my booth, so I usually make a mock booth just to kind of see what I'm bringing, how to lay things out, if I'm gonna build some shelves and stuff. So this booth was already kind of made up. The tablecloth wasn't there, and other things weren't there. But I'm just like, all right, well, I'll just make a booth and I'll call it DaveCon, and I'm like, well, I don't want to have a sale. I want to have other things. So I made some lanyards and I did free shipping because I thought, okay, well, if you can't come to the convention, I'm just gonna do free shipping, because that
that's
way
what
it's like, oh, if you,
that's the experience that you would
yeah,
get.
it's part of the experience. If you're going to walk by my booth, you're not going to pay for shipping, So I did the free shipping. I did the lanyards, and I made the sign, and I tried to do live streaming. I wasn't really into live streaming then, but at least twice a day I would do like some live painting, or just like I would sketch in books and stuff, just to make it feel like I was there communicating with people who would come by my booth. And I even had like Matt Ritchie came by, and this is before this is before we had the shelter in place thing. So he came by and he bought some stuff, and we have a funny picture of me and him at the booth and stuff. So I really tried to have somewhat of a con experience, even though there was no con, and it went pretty well. I was able to move most of the merch there, and it felt like, okay, like I had that feeling like, well, if more cons get canceled, then I think this is what we're going to kind of have to do as artists, not necessarily make a con, but
Dave,
yeah.
I got a question from the audience here. Riz wants to know, when is the next DaveCon?
It's happening right now, but I sidelined it.
If I can find some more Daves to ask and then not do, then I'll do another Dave Con. I don't know, like, so when Comic Con got canceled, I've been doing Comic Con like with Alex since the first time, even though we never had a booth side by side. We always prepare at the same time. We always go at the same time. We always kind of like bounce ideas off. So that's how like no con kind of happened. Alex is just like, well, DaveCon was cool. Should we do something similar to that for San Diego? I'm just like, yeah.
We were actually talking about it, I think like early April, because we kind of like we were in the minority at the time, but we were like, I think this might last for a while.
Yeah, I'm very pessimistic. I'm just like, well, every con's getting canceled. Like I'm like this whole year is gone.
Yeah. And then I think it was like, for sure, once they canceled Coachella, we're like, all right, cool, let's start planning what we're doing.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, what you did with DaveCon, that was kind of what got me, thinking about it, and that's what inspired me to do the Driveway Con, which we're doing down here this weekend, and then, but yeah, what you guys were doing, I think, is pretty revolutionary. Just the idea of micro virtual conventions, and I think I think you guys were the first ones to the table. So great idea. But yeah, you guys said, like, I mean, sales wise, like how are you guys doing compared to like because I know you said DaveCon was a huge hit, and like you probably made as much money, if not more, than you would have made at an Emerald City show.
Yeah, I mean, I was able to at least pay for all my stuff and then some. So it felt good to. And it's so hard with, like, this does feel like uncharted territory, because we do conventions. I've been doing conventions for like almost 20 years now. So with Alex, so like you do these things, they become like these major financial parts of your year. So when something like this happens and all the conventions are just canceled, it's like, oh my God, like how am I going to fill that part of my year,
Yep.
So these what we've been doing online, it's like, okay, well, what can we do, like as artists, like what are our tools, what are our resources? Well, we have online, how can we make online fun, and how can we make it like a little bit different, and maybe think outside the box a little bit. And I think with DaveCon and especially NoCon, it's like, that's kind of like the business model is kind of changing, like it was conventions, and maybe it will be conventions again, but at least for now, we kind of have to like really navigate this weird thing that's happening right now. So far it's been good, I mean, and also, like, you have to think about people on the other side of the table, like the people who go to cons, like they want a certain experience. They go there not just for me, they go there for like the photos, and they go there for like the booths, they go there for the costume, and they go for all their stuff. So if we can offer like a little bit of that, and also have interactivity, because that's one thing I like about conventions is talking to people. You meet so many people who are like-minded, and you go, oh yeah, I like horror, you like horror, I like sci-fi, so do you, this. So the interactivity is amazing at these conventions. It's the one time of the year that we get out and we can like be with people, be with our own, you know? So I think that with these shows, we're trying to really mimic that. And hopefully I think we're doing a good job. So,
Yeah, I
mean,
think with the addition of streaming through Twitch, which offers, you know, fans to interact while we're talking as much as we can, and then the additional interaction of Discord is kind of like going to a convention and meeting people that like the same stuff and being able to talk about them. So I think that's great. And then just the other kind of like you know, the gift side of this curse that we got, things got canceled. What the cancellation did was basically open up the rest of the world to kind of experience a little bit of the effort that we put into San Diego, because going to San Diego Comic-Con, even as a consumer, already cost thousands of dollars just to get into the front door. And so a lot of people can't even do it. And so, you know, when we do San Diego Comic-Con, Dave and I both kind of like, we try to not forget about the rest of the online fans that we have in the online audience. So we usually do a little bit extra for, you know, like separate exclusives for online only or something during Comic-Con. But this year we were able to like be like, hey, all the effort that we're putting into San Diego Comic-Con, for the first time ever, we're putting it into an online thing for everybody. And I think that was beneficial to a lot of people that have never even been able to go to a comic convention, and it has helped with sales.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You know, Alex, somebody in the chat, Jared Eccles asks, do they have any merchandise available for Comic-Con that is not available at NoCon?
I do not. All the stuff that I mean, specifically through myself, my personal booth, I do not, but I do have a couple things being released with other companies at Comic-Con, but one of them I'm not sure if I'm allowed to announce it or if allowed to say it, because I don't think they've shared it yet. But the other one, and it's something with that company Mondo, but then there is something, I did like a licensed Misfits pin with this company called Yesterdays, that'll be available too. But yeah, as far as like what's at my booth, it's similar stuff to what's at NoCon.
Okay, but check out the Mondo site and Yesterday's.
Yes, Yesterday's pin company. Yeah,
so they might have something live. How about you, Dave? Anything?
No, I just have all the NoCon stuff, and one thing I want to mention too is like all of our most of our NoCon stuff that we have on the site, the T-shirt, our big print together, and a couple other things. Some pins are only available during NoCon. On Sunday at 11 p.m. The NoCon ends, and all the time release stuff is over. So we're not. So it's only so these things are like time release stuff. So it's only available during NoCon.
Okay.
There's the print.
And
that's
yeah,
our print.
She said that I wanted to bring this print up, and this is amazing. This is really, really fantastic. I mean, it's I can't tell where, you know, Alex begins and Dave's ends in this piece. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was stoked on it.
That's one of my favorite pieces right now. I always get excited on new pieces. So like for me right now, this is like my favorite thing. I love working with Alex, and we don't do this too often. And I just love how this came out. I think the colors are amazing. It was just fun to like pass this back and forth with him. It felt like a real like collaboration. It felt like we were really like making something cool, and I'm really just pleased how it came out.
Yeah, it's amazing. So like, can you guys tell us a little bit about your process about working together on these collaborations?
Yeah, so like we did the original piece that this is actually a black and white mixed media piece. There's some charcoal, some ink. Dave actually has the original black and white piece there, which is up for auction on eBay right now through NoCon, by the way.
Yeah, we put this up on eBay a couple days ago. So this is the original that we did 2014. When was that?
2015, I believe, right?
2015. Yeah, it's charcoal, it's ink.
There's
graphite,
a little bit of gouache in there from my end.
A little bit of gouache, yeah. So we did that 2015 for Chet Zar's Conjoined show, which is like a big horror show down in LA, and we just basically pass it back and forth. It's when we shared a studio together, so we just basically pass it back and forth for a few days. I'm not sure how long it was. It might have been like a few weeks, it's probably more like a few days. And we just passed back and forth and worked on it. And I would do a section, he would do a section, I would draw over his section, he would draw over my section. So it really felt like a good, just like back and forth. And then we put the piece in the show and it didn't sell.
yeah, there you go. And then
no one wanted it.
but Dave and I both really liked it. And when we were brainstorming what we wanted to do, we were like, well, we're doing a convention together, so maybe for the first time we should do like a new collaboration together. And we were kind of like brainstorming ideas, but both of us really liked that original piece, and we were like, I feel like we didn't really finish this. Like, like Dave, especially coinciding with what our work has evolved into now. It's both very colorful and bright. And so like, we were like, well, why don't we just like revisit that and kind of redo it how we would do it now, kind of colorfully and bright and stuff. So we took the original painting, scanned it in, and then because of we're able to work remotely, Dave and I both passed back the same file via Dropbox and just kind of worked on it periodically digitally to color it and paint it. And we would composite layers of watercolor scanned in, put it over it, digitally color that, this and that, go back and forth. And it was awesome.
It felt good to work because I would draw on it. I'd pass it back to him. He'd spend a couple of days on it, send it back to me. It was just a nice fluid way to work with no pressure. You know, I would get something from him and I'd be like, oh wow, this is amazing. And I would sketch over it and he would take those notes and he would sketch over that. So it just felt really organic the way that like,
so it was like just back and forth. It's not like you did your thing.
No, yeah. It was back and forth at least like 4 or 5 times. And it just felt really cool. And like every time I saw him, it's like, whoa. I kept getting more excited every time I got it back to me. I'm like, oh, this is fucking cool, you know?
Yeah,
same.
That is awesome. I want to kind of jump back in time a little bit, and I want to pull up some things that I kind of know you guys from when I first met you at some of the earlier shows.
Oh, was it me doing this?
It's pretty close. Let's see.
With 8 bracelets on.
Yeah.
So Dave, I know this is not one of your older books, but you've put out a sketchbook pretty consistently every year that has kind of like your best, you know, like drawings and sketches over the last year. So how many of these are you up to now?
Wait, where are we at? It looks like your desktop.
I see a messy desktop.
What's that? Oh,
your desktop is being shared.
Let's try that again. I picked the wrong screen. Let's try it again. Let's go share. And desktop 2 and share.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay, so that's my newest sketchbook. I do one a year. So obviously this is year 11. And they're always kind of different. I don't typically sketch like in a sketchbook. I just sketch on like loose pieces of paper, mostly printer paper. And at the end of the year, I just kind of shuffle them together and go, okay, this is good 25 pages. I'll just do it. And it really started back in the day when like I started doing small press stuff, and I would have to have like, you know, I would make zines. I mean, when we started doing APE and stuff, I would do zines. And I had some books before that were called something different, but like, I always just liked the idea of like hand making a book, all black and white, just kind of sketches. And they've always just evolved a little bit. And this book I put out during DaveCon. I was going to bring it to Emerald City, but didn't get a chance to. I actually had the cover screen printed by Monolith Press out in Alameda. They do amazing screen print work. They do stuff for like Faith No More and Tool and like Primus and all that stuff like that. But every now and then I call in a favor and they fit me in and do a screen print. So the cover itself is screen printed.
Yeah, the covers are always really amazing, high quality.
Yeah, it adds so much production value to just like a black and white sketchbook too.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like, you know, I used to do these zines. I'm like, I would just go to Kinko's and just like scan it, and they would look super raw and awful. But now like I'm kind of in love with them. So like the last 2 books I've done, I've gotten screen printed from Monolith, and like they just come out so nice. And I love the paper they print on. They print on like this raspberry kind of like pink paper, and I had them do like the deep reds and the blue on there. And this book is a little different because I did it all digitally. Lately, I've been sketching on my iPad a lot. So all the interior pages for the first time, for me at least, are all digital. In years past, they've been like charcoal and graphite and stuff like that. But this year it's been for this book at least, which is last year's work. It was all like just Procreate and Photoshop stuff. So, but I like that. I like doodling in Photoshop. I draw different. I just kind of start making a mess. I'll lay down like a weird shape, and I'll move things around. It's a really fun creative process to draw that way.
Nice.
Dude, can we go back for what I just had a weird revelation or a weird like thing just a minute ago. And I feel like I'm wondering now, it's crazy to me that people might not even know what Kinko's is.
Right? Oh, did I say Kinko's?
No, but I mean, I say Kinko's too, but it's because it was called FedEx Kinko's for so long, but now it's called FedEx Office. And like, I don't even know if anybody know, like, it's crazy, right?
Alex, remember we would go to Kinko's like at midnight and
Mhm.
we'd be scanning in pages.
Oh yeah.
We'd be making books till 3 a.m, stapling, and we would go to APE the very next day and try and sell them.
Yeah.
Like that's like what we did for years, dude.
Yep,
And I'm sure Devin, you did the exact same.
Oh,
thing.
dude, I had so many
I
tricks.
actually worked there, and I would make my own zines like in books while I was.
Oh, you got the discount,
so
man.
you got to deal with me doing the pretend to drop the copy key on the way up to the booth, and then go, oh, I don't know, I made 17 copies and I have a stack of 1,000.
Yeah. We'll give you the discount. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love zines. I love them. Like I love the idea of people just like the work behind them, people like making them, people hand making, like just like scanning in things, the pages being off centered. You know, I just like that so much, you know. So I don't know. I still want to make. I still hand make these. I still go to what's it called? I guess it's called FedEx now. I go to FedEx. I print the pages. I come home. I actually sketch in all these books too. Like this, I only got 400 of those covers, so I made an addition of 400. So I number each one. And I sketch in each one, I staple it, I fold it. So I still like doing that. Like part of me, it just feels like con time when I'm doing that. It feels like, all right, this is how you're supposed to do. This is like the hard work aspect of it. You know, this is like hand making it. I like that a lot.
Yeah, no, I miss those days. I mean, I first started doing shows back at Motor City Comic Con back in like the late 90s. And those were like the first conventions I started doing. And back then, I mean, there was really no fan art. It was all just everybody was making their own weird stories, making their own IP. And
God, that's
I mean,
why I miss that. Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of like the early days of APE, you know, when we also
early APE was my favorite for sure.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, those maybe like from like 2001 to maybe 2005, like
going to APE and especially exhibiting them and getting to meet some of the creators there, like every booth was different, everything was original. Like I soaked up so much of just like inspiration from everybody that you know, like.
And everything at APE was cheap. I mean, that was like Zine Central. You can go there with like $25 and leave with like 25 books. I mean, everything there was like $1. And it was such a creative environment. You met so many, and every artist was at the booth, you know, like it was just like, oh, you made this, you know? And it was all just like weird stuff, local stuff. Oh yeah.
That's old. That's 2001 maybe.
I was just gonna say, like, since we're talking about APE, I think this is the first time I ever saw Alex. I think when one of the San Francisco APE shows, you know, with this book. I'm like, oh, what is this? Like, what is Money Whip? So was this your first, you know, book, your first zine you put together?
No, I did zines since like the mid 90s, and I had like a little indie one-person publishing company called I Suck Inc., which the only reason I had a publishing company was because I like would submit like basically like I would submit my zines to get like distribution or whatever, and then they would just like laugh at me. So then I was like, well, I'm having a hard time selling this myself with a straight face, so I just need to pretend. So I basically just like made up a publishing company and then did that. But then long story short, like I did zines for a little while, and eventually they caught the attention of Tower Records, and I kind of convinced them to sell some stuff. And then once they picked up a few of my old black and white handmade zines, they sold a bunch of them and kind of kept reordering them. And so eventually I was able to strike a deal with Tower Records at the time, which if you guys remember Tower Records, it was like a major record and bookstore chain throughout the world. And they had, 500-600 locations all around the world. So when I was able to get a distribution deal with Tower Records, when I couldn't get a distribution deal with even like Diamond Comics, I basically was able to bypass these like mom and pop's comic stores and go straight to like mainstream with my zines, which is crazy. But yeah, that's that. So then Tower ended up also, Tower was a huge corporation, and they actually had their own print shop. So they basically would be able to front me printing costs to be able to make my books a better quality for them to sell more in their store. And I never made any money off of the comics that I sold through Tower, but I was able to, as like, you know, like a 20-year-old independent comic book publisher, I was able to get like really good quality books and get them worldwide distribution. So it was cool.
That's cool. Yeah, different time. That's pretty.
Dude, real quick, the eyes on that drooping bunny, like the droopy eyes, the dangly eyes, is so gross, dude.
Oh, those are legs.
Ew, they're so gross. I love it.
Awesome. So like, I mean, you guys are I think of you guys as DIY, you know, artists, you know, that just kind of make your own opportunities. But I also know that you guys have, you know, done a lot of commercial work too. These days, do you guys consider yourself mostly just kind of self-branded artists, just self-represented artists?
I guess I try and be, you know, like I don't take commission work really. I don't really do any freelance stuff. I try and just make all my own things and find avenues to sell them, whether they're on my site or in conventions. I don't even really do gallery work anymore. I think this is like, it's almost a year or two of not doing gallery work. And it's not because I don't get offered. I just don't have any real interest in doing that. I just want to focus on my own stuff, my own work, and then kind of make it on my terms, you know? So that's my preference, I guess.
Well, I think that something like NoCon only kind of drives that you know, it shows that representing yourself works, right? Like when we're doing something like NoCon, it's completely on our own terms. We're creating whatever we want to sell. We're creating whatever we want to do. We're creating the panels. We're able to do something like, you know, if we were to, like for instance, if we wanted to have a panel at Comic Con, we would have to pitch a panel to them, get a sponsor for the panel, get approval for a panel, whatever. But it's like for at NoCon, we could just be like, hey, I want to draw dicks for an hour. You guys go with that? Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. And like that, I think that attitude has been something that Dave and I have had, you know, independently and together for years, because we know that like we could adapt to fit into like a certain partnership with representations or whatever, but I don't think either of us have had that interest. So that's what one of our common kind of, you know, likes about each other is.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
So what for each one of you guys, what was the one like moment that kind of set you on this path to where like you just kind of wanted to do your own thing as an artist? And like, what was the kind of the tipping point that kind of sent you on the path that you're on now?
Well, for me, it goes back as far as like really meeting Alex. Like when I went to school, I was doing stuff. I went to school for computer animation, and I was trying to like, you know, get good at doing work for like a gaming company or a movie company like that. And then when I saw Alex doing like these weird zines and these weird books, I was just like, wow, like this is really cool. Like you're doing your own thing and you're selling it to people who want to buy your work, you know, like you're not like this weird, you're not like this cog in the machine. So it's like, when I saw that, I'm just like, that's fucking rad. and then Alex saw, yeah, man, make a zine and come with me. You'll sell nothing, but we'll have fun. I'm like, let's do it.
I still say that.
Yeah. So I remember that I made one zine. We went to the Fangoria show. I think I sold like 10 of them or 15 of them for like $1. I made $15 at this show. And I'm just like, this is awesome. And like, that was it for me. Like, I just wanted to keep making stuff for myself and having people have interest in my work personally, not doing stuff for like, you know, and I have done work. I worked for like ad agencies. I've worked for like other things, and like, that's fine. It's good money, but like, it never really felt like as rewarding as selling my own work that someone wants to buy because it's mine. It's like a Dave Correia thing. So for me, it was meeting Alex a long time ago.
Yeah, which is also simultaneously, it's this weird up and down of like this super vulnerable feeling of I made this, I have to put it in front of somebody, I have to ask them to buy it. And then you're like, this, I don't know about this. And then one person buys and you're like, that felt really good. I'm going to go spend another 6 months of my own time doing that again.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily had a specific moment. I think mine was all, evolved from rejection and personal kind of like self doubt. I think like I had like when I started like doing kind of this art stuff in like the early mid 90s, like I had a goal. I was like, I want to be like Todd McFarlane, or I want to like be like, I want to work like and make these cool things. And I remember trying to like, you know, in the early 90s, the jobs that were available for artists were like, cool, comic book artist is there. You could be an art curator, an art teacher, or you can do graphic design. Like there was like, nobody was really like, hey, you can be an independent weird artist and we'll apply your work to advertising, or we'll apply your work to whatever. Like that just wasn't available. So it was like, all right, I'm going to try to get like hired by like comic book companies. And I remember like just getting, rightfully so, I had no training, but I remember just getting rejection letters. And I was just like, well, I don't like that rejection. That feels really bad. I don't want to get rejected again. What's the hard way around that? And I'm like, oh, I can start my own company. Yeah. Right. So then it was like, that way I don't have to be rejected. And then it was like starting my own company is like, I did that. And then it's like, well, now how do I sell these? And then it's like, well, I got rejection letters from comic book stores and comic book distributions and this and that. And it was like, well, what's the hard way around that? Oh, okay, I could bypass that and try to go to Tower Records, or, you know, like, so then it's like all these things were kind of just like out of like a rejection, and then reassessing the situation and figuring out what's the way around it.
Yeah. It's like almost like the rejections kind of like knocked you in a certain direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And then eventually I stopped even bothering with the rejection. Was like, dude, it's way easier if I don't even ask anybody.
It's a lot, a lot of saved time. I mean, because like, and then when the realization that you can make more money doing a Kickstarter for whatever weird idea you have, than, you know, getting like paid to do something you never really wanted to do. It's,
yeah, I mean, it's not the amount of outlets that are around for DIY stuff now is so inspiring and cool, and a lot of the times even overwhelming, because I think it was helpful for us and other artists in similar situations like Skinner and stuff to like have not that many different means available of us to it. Like we had to figure out how to do it with the little means that were available.
Right.
And
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause like we did things because like some of our early gallery shows, we would all get together and be like, let's just do a gallery show. So we would like go to like, you know, Varnish Fine Art and be like, hey, the 10 of us want to do a gallery show. So we made our own show, you know? So like a lot of the times we just kind of like did our own thing because we had like a few people who would do it with us because we couldn't get our own show, like a solo show, you know? So like we just did it because like we would just create these things because we couldn't do other things, and, you know?
Yeah. No, I was talking to some of my old friends. I still keep in touch with a lot of my old friends from art school. And, you know, we were talking about it. It's like, that's the best thing we took away was kind of the camaraderie and like the group of friends that we made that all kind of wanted to do the same thing over the years. And it's like, even more than learning how to oil paint or, you know, mastering Photoshop, it was kind of like just, you know, the collaborators that you kind of bring with you throughout the years, I think is more important than all that.
Totally.
Yeah, that was important for us. I think that we always had like a very, like we had a good strong knit group, you know, like when we would do APE, for example, we'd have like 6 booths and there'd be like a bunch of us, and, you know, it was nice. It was a good feeling to have that. And we all kind of like, in a weird way, pushed each other, you know, like, oh, like,
oh, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I did want to point out, in case anybody is watching this that is interested in doing your own booth at these small conventions or even Comic Con or anything, and you hear us talk about how we had kind of like a gang, like that gang was not in the beginning, right? Like all of us were independent, reclusive, weirdo artists that were terrified of doing a show.
Yeah.
And then we did it, and then the camaraderie happened within the shows. And totally. Then that gave us more of a kind of like self-confidence and this kind of like group. So like, if anybody's out there and being like, I can't really do a show, I don't have 5 friends that want to do it with me, like all of us did this alone.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's a really good point. Like we were all super reclusive, super like nervous, super anxious, but by doing these little like these little like steps forward to like do these shows, like, oh, you do art, let's hang out. Oh, you do stuff, let's hang out. Like we met people by bringing that to the table ourselves, you know?
What for each one of you guys, what is your best memory from San Diego Comic Con, like over the years?
Best memory. I thought it was fun. I had a fun time drinking with Simon Bisley at a bar.
Oh, I forgot you did that. That's funny.
Yeah, but that was wild.
Weren't you with us, Alex?
I was, but I forgot. Yeah, but I mean, I wasn't drinking, so I wasn't technically drinking with Simon Bisley. But
it was a weird, surreal experience. Like, I love Simon Bisley, and he happened to be in our hotel with us, and we saw him like at a bar that day earlier, and like he was just by himself. Or like, hey, come over here, and he sat with us, and he was like,
that was at the Field, right? Wasn't it?
No, it was
wasn't at the hotel. Oh yeah, Dick's. That's right.
And he was like really rambunctious and stuff, and so we like hung out for him with a bit, and then we like parted ways. But then we saw him again later, so he came out. He like followed us to a bar, and he got like really weird. So like we kind of ditched him. I don't know. It was just funny. Like, I don't know, a lot of weird drunk story type stuff. But I don't know if I have I don't think I have
a favorite. I just have they all kind of like blend in together. I've had like entire conventions that were like memorable for like they were bigger because like you know when if I worked on something that I had a bigger presence there or something. But like as far as like specific memories, there's so you're in such an autopilot mode that so many things are there you don't even really absorb memories.
Yeah, I think the one thing I take away from Comic Con every year is like it's just a whirlwind. Like, I mean, you can't chill there. You're on your it's go the entire time. Like, once you get there, it's like, okay, you gotta set up your booth, you gotta do your prices, you're kind of late, people rush in. When people come in, you're on your feet from like 8 o'clock until 6 o'clock, and you're starving. You have to go get food, and then you have a couple of drinks, and you're talking to friends, and you like get to your hotel late, and you get like maybe like 6 hours of sleep, and you wake up and do it again. And it's like that times like 6 days. So it's just like it's like this whirlwind of just like just non-stop. I mean, lots of memories kind of blend into each other.
I have a worst memory.
What's your worst memory?
It involves you. My worst memory is 2 years ago, the first day of Comic-Con. Don't know how I did it, but I realized that my toe started hurting.
Oh.
And then I kind of got like, you know, my balls busted about it because I was like whining. And then I was like, whatever, I'm fine. And the remainder of Comic-Con, every day, my toe kept feeling like a little more hurt. And I think we were sharing a room with 6-7 people at the time. And because that's the other thing you have to do is pull your money together and crash in one room.
Yeah, because you can't afford a hotel room by yourself. So you have to have at least 6 people sharing a room.
I just moved here, so now I'm like
now you're good. You're good.
Yeah, I'm gonna crash at your house next year.
Yeah, it's probably cheap. It was probably cheaper to uproot your whole life to there.
I got a room for you guys. If you guys want to crash with me, that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like a 10-minute lift ride.
And so everybody in my room just kept calling me a baby and making me feel really like it was just like, oh, just
I know. I'm so sorry. I feel awful.
No,
like I'm like, oh, dude, just wear like 2 socks or just put some bread in there, and then the bread will like just like curb like you know.
Remember, like it was like you guys were all like had like the floor mats, and you're like, you just got to get one of these next time. Look at me, I'm super comfortable.
we completely like pivoted the thing. Oh yeah, it's because you're not sleeping well. Drink some water, you'll be fine.
And so after Comic-Con was over, 6 days later, I couldn't even take my sock off anymore because it stuck to my toe. And I finally showed everybody, and I was like, you guys, I don't think my foot's doing too well. And I took my shoe off, and it was just I had a black toe.
No, you were at my house, and you took your sock.
We had gotten done.
You took your sock off, and I'm like, oh my God, you need to go to the hospital, dude. Like, what's wrong with your toe? You're like, that's what I've been telling me.
It was fine.
Dude, we took him to like a clinic like that same day. Like,
yeah.
Like he had to get like antibiotics and like all this shit. Like it was like really bad.
I lost my entire toenail. I don't even, to this day, I don't know what happened. They said that it had to have been an impact on my toe. So like maybe while we were putting up a booth, something dropped out, but I don't remember that.
You could have just kicked something that you didn't, and then maybe the nail like bent into your skin. Who knows? Like it could have been dumb things.
That's brutal. We got a nice comment here. Riz says, in my opinion, the art lessons alone from NoCon are better than anything Comic-Con puts together. So.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Thanks, Riz.
We've been doing lots of like art the panels at NoCon have been lots of like instructional stuff, at least from my end. I've been trying to like show process stuff, like how to like do an oil painting, how to do some sculpture, how to do how to paint a sculpture type of stuff, how to make a latex. I've been doing lots of like, this is where you start, this, like, because
really
like our
rad demos too.
yeah,
Like,
just
super
demos,
good.
like trying to get people motivated to do their own stuff. Because for me, when I go to convention, I'm sure this is the same thing for you guys, I leave a convention feeling so inspired. Like when I walk through I still love small press, even though I'm not in small press. I always walk through small press and try and buy some zines, because I think that's like where such raw talent is. And I just go like, man, this is so cool. Like, you know, and then you see like bigger booths, and you see like, you know, people like NC Winners and you and like Jason Edmondson, like in that whole like Illustrator area. I'm like, dude, like I leave there feeling so inspired. So like for NoCon, I wanted to like impart that in a way, and try and get the people who are watching us to at least have some inspiration that they take with it. Because there's a lot of people who are on our Discord who are like really good at like like, you know, cosplayers and artists, and like just to see them making things is just like really, really cool to me. I can relate to that so heavily, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And Comic Con is just celebrities, which is cool to a certain degree, because you're seeing all the Avengers talk about what it was like to work on the Avengers, which is awesome. But we have to make up for the fact that we have no celebrities.
Yeah.
No, well, I think you guys are doing a hell of a job, and it's, you know, it's like I said, you guys have really inspired me to, you know, to step up my own game as far as putting virtual, you know, things together. So, you know,
Dude,
kudos to both
Driveway
you guys.
Con looks good. Like you bought your own website, you're having panels. Like this is, I think you're doing
Dude,
it like
Driveway Con's
really,
a
really
rad
well.
name. Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing it
idea.
really well. Like us, because
Yeah.
everyone has like their own con. Everyone's just like, oh, it's like Walmart con, like Alex said. Like,
Yeah,
there's
like the
all these
word con
cons.
just means I have stuff to sell online.
Yeah, but it's like what's beyond that? Like, what are you doing besides just calling your thing a con? Like, what are you giving back? What are you doing? Like, what's making it a con? You know? And I think you are actually like with the panels and like the way you're setting things up, and just like how much effort you're putting on this. It's good, man. It's perfect.
It's a lot of work too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
who
No,
knows?
it's been busy. This has been more busier than any convention like season I remember in a long time. So for sure.
Yeah. But what's great is like you curate your own work. Like you can decide how much you want to put into it or how much you don't want to put into it. So that's what's kind of nice about it, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's
on your
been
terms.
my favorite part is like figuring out, like picking my friends that are vendors, picking my friends that are not in San Diego, like you guys, that can do a virtual panel. So it's like I picked you guys, and then, you know, I got Chris Sanders, who's always my neighbor at Comic Con every year. So, you know, I'm going to talk to him on Saturday about, you know, Lilo and Stitch, and you know, like working with Harrison Ford, and then on Sunday I'm talking to the Chris LeMartina and Aurora Borealis, and we're going to talk about the WNUF Halloween special and Shocktail Hour.
I love that. Are they doing a sequel to that?
Yes. Yeah. So
Nice.
we're going to be talking all about that on Sunday. So definitely come back and check that one out. But yeah, I just love kind of like curating my own weirdo kind of, you know, shows. You know,
yeah,
that's so much fun. Yeah. What I want to do is I put like a little presentation together of some of my favorite stuff that you guys have done over the years. So I kind of want to just do a quick screen share, and we'll talk a little bit about each one as we roll through here, if that's cool with you guys.
I'm into it.
Anything's cool.
All right. So
yeah,
this was one of my favorite T-shirts I had for years. Like the armpits were completely yellow, and I couldn't wear it anymore. But
I printed armpits a little bit yellow to start with. So.
But this was called Guilty Smurf. And
it was.
One of my favorite things about what you guys do is your art piece is not just an art piece, it's a story. And this one literally had a story underneath it. If you flip the T-shirt up, you actually printed on the inside of the shirt the story of Guilty Smurf.
I did. I got to do that again. I got to start that again.
Yeah, and you did a bunch of shirts that year that were like that, right?
Yeah, well, that was kind of like our when we were doing the company Zero Friends that Dave and I owned together. That was like our extra little bonus trademark, I guess, was inserting stories into the shirts. Like it was basically like you would buy a shirt and you'd get a story with it, and you could flip it up and show your friends. They're like, hey, read it. The only negative side of it, which there shouldn't be any negative side because it's cool, you're getting a bonus extra story, but the negative thing was that like it was so hard to photograph and communicate to people that couldn't see it in person. what it was like. So a lot of people were missing out on it. So I've been trying to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, but man, I love this piece. I love the shirt. Like the whole thing
That's a great piece.
So cool.
Like composition wise, just the color. It's so cool. Like I love that piece a lot. I haven't seen that in a long time. Who owns that? Do you know who owns that?
My friend, I believe Dave, who's in the El Maz 156. Maybe, I think he has it.
Oh, does he? Okay,
I think so.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. Like,
that's a beautiful piece.
On that one. Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Love this one.
Self-portrait when I was skinny.
Was that for the Portland show?
Yeah, that was for a show. That was the title piece for a show that I did called Alex.
Okay, it was Upper Playground?
Yeah, it was at Upper Playground Gallery, 5024 PDX or whatever. I think maybe they were just Upper Playground at the time. But yeah, that was in Portland, one of my favorite galleries, favorite businesses. Love it.
Yeah,
I lived in Portland at the time when this one came out. So
that's right.
Yeah, so that very cool. Dave. Heavy metal. Man.
Yeah, that was a surreal experience. So I originally made that piece for Rob Sonic, who's a rapper. He's one of my favorite rappers. He's super dope. I made this cover art for his album, and part of the deal I had with him is like I can make prints for it and sell them. You know, he was cool with that. So I had this print on display at Emerald City Comic Con last year, and the owner or the CEO at the time of Heavy Metal walked by, and he was looking at it, and I didn't know who he was. He was looking at it. He just saw, that's pretty cool. I'm just like, oh, thanks, man. I was like kind of like still setting on my booth, you know, and he was like kind of like lingering by my booth. He's all, hey, can we put that on our magazine? I'm just like, I'm like, wait, who are you?
I mean,
like,
let me make a phone call, right?
Yeah, he didn't say I'm the guy. He didn't say my magazine's Heavy Metal. He just assumed I knew who he was. I'm like, who? Like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, I'm Jeff. I work for Heavy Metal. You know, blah blah. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. You know, I'm like, well, I have to make sure that, you know, Rob Sonic is cool with it because it's really it's the piece I made for him for his album, so it represents his work, you know. And so Rob's just like, yeah, dude. And you can see Rob Sonic's name is down there at the bottom right. So yeah, they use the art for Heavy Metal, and like for me that was like a bucket list thing because like I grew up reading that. Like, dude, like that's how I found Simon Bisley, you know. Like, I mean, that's he was a huge inspiration for me drawing and painting growing up, and those comics were just so weird and messed up. You'd see like barbarians, boobs, blood, like just all this stuff, you know. And so to be on the cover was like really special to me.
Dude, the scale of that painting is so cool too.
Yeah, and then that's nothing. That piece for me was very outside my box because I don't usually do like landscape type stuff or like you know, distance scale type things. So that was something that Rob and I had talked about back and forth when we were conceptualizing his album art, that he wanted something kind of like that. So it took me out of my element. So for me, it was very like challenging. I couldn't, it wasn't a quick piece. It took me like a long time to make that because I had to like really just work myself up to like that type of, you know, drawing ability, I guess.
You know what's cool about this, Dave, that I've noticed more in your pieces lately that I really like is like when I'm doing any kind of like teeth or forms of teeth, like something in my brain just has to make them bright. Even if they're dirty, they're bright. But like a lot of the times lately, you've been doing teeth that are like mid colors to darks or like no change in what and I love them.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. Well, yeah, I wanted the top of the drawing to be more of like the focal point and the bottom point, you know, but I wanted the glow, to have the glow be bright. You have to have the teeth be a little dark, but yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. The colors, I mean, the whole thing is really alive. Like this.
Yeah. And actually Rob and I wrote a story for an animation we wanted to do for one of his songs that involved like those characters going into that like floating city. So we have like this like kind of like story already in the works that we just need to figure out how to like animate, because we want to do an animation for it, you know. So, and I've actually storyboarded some of the pieces for it. So
man, well, yeah, definitely keep us in the loop on that, like for sure. That's amazing. All right,
this is my favorite piece of Dave's. When you were asking me earlier what it was, I was instantly just like Mother Nature done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that for me is another big piece that I did. It's literally huge. It's like 4 feet by 5 feet. It's the biggest I've ever painted up until that point. It was for a show I did. I forget what year. I want to say it was 2014, maybe.
In San Francisco, right?
Yeah, it was a solo. It was a 3-person show with Caitlin Hackett and Rob Bowen, and I bought like a 4 foot by 5 foot panel, and I didn't really know what to do with it, but I wanted to like really like have lots of elements, lots of like, our show itself is called like Dark Matters, and we wanted it to have like elements of like critters and weird things and stuff, so lots of animals.
Yeah.
And so that's what we all drew, and I wanted to have like this centerpiece that was called Mother Nature that embodied like all of the creations that I was making in this show. So this piece is just what I came up with. And for me, like I sketched out a little bit. I kind of started in the middle with like the 2 heads and the demon, and I just kind of like went out from there. I made a lot of it up as I went, but I still have that painting. I mean, that's one of those pieces that's hard to sell. I like, it's like 4 feet by 5 feet. So like I put like a price tag of like 10,000 on it, and no one bought it, obviously.
Dude,
so like,
it's not only my favorite painting of yours. I think it's one of my favorite paintings I've ever seen.
oh man, thank you so much, dude.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I've seen like 7 paintings.
so are you still selling this painting if somebody wants to buy it during NoCon weekend?
I mean, I would. What's funny? Like, okay, so at Designer Con a couple years ago, someone came by the booth and I had a print of it behind me. They're like, "Oh, is that the original?" I'm like, "No, it's a print." They're like, "Well, I want the original."
Yeah.
I'm just like, "Well, it's at my studio. It's like big, as I don't have it." They're like, "Well, how much is it?" I'm like, "It's like 10 grand." They're like, "Yeah, I'll take it." I'm just like,
Yeah.
Wait, how are you for real? And like, I'm like, I don't know. It felt really weird. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I'll sell you a print. I don't want to sell you the original. And I looked them up. I got the guy's card, and he owns like a video production house in LA. So maybe he had, but I just balked at it because I just wasn't ready to sell it like that,
Just so half-assed. We're just guys like, yeah, I'll take it, whatever.
Yeah, it didn't feel like, I don't know. For me, I'm just weird. I don't know.
I got you.
Dude, you could have been 10 grand richer. Now I'm supposed to give you financial advice.
Yeah, I know. But so I had that piece. It's at my studio. So if you want to come see it in person, just hit me up, and I'll take you upstairs and we can go look at it.
Wear a mask and do it.
But yeah, maybe I won't take. I'll take a picture and send it to you.
Okay, Mother Nature, 10 grand. Let's see what else we got here. Sucker Punch.
That's my thumb.
So I just learned last night after talking to our mutual friend Josh Ellingson that you had done quite a bit of concept work for Sucker Punch for Zack Snyder, and I know both you and Dave have done some projects with him in the past. Mm-hmm. Tell us about like what's your origin of knowing Zack and working with him.
My origin, I have a really long working and personal relationship with Zack Snyder and their whole team of production that uses the same core group of people that they create movies with, and a really amazing team. My origin with Zack is kind of weird. I mean, it grew into a friendship, but originally what it was, I was working on an animated series called Chatham for Warner Brothers Television in LA. I was working on it as far as like writing, directing, that kind of stuff, before I got booted off of it. That's a whole nother thing. But our production offices were above Zack Snyder's production offices in the same building when they were in pre-production on Watchmen. And separately, I had not met him. I had not met anybody in their office. I'd sneak down there and look at concept art on the walls. That was awesome. But New York Comic Con, I did an exclusive Watchmen painting that debuted at New York Comic Con, and we had like a limited edition prints of it. There was like an edition of 50 of them, and we sold out the prints pretty quickly, and then came home from New York Comic Con, and then I got a message from Zack's assistant at the time that said, "Hey, Zack saw your Watchmen," and this was before they didn't know that I even worked above them. It was totally unrelated. They were like, "Hey, I'm Zack Snyder's assistant. He saw the piece that you did and wanted to know if we can get a print of it." And the prints were sold out. So I was just like, the prints are sold out. And then in my head, before even saying the words that they were sold out, I was like, I knew that I still had the original painting, and I knew that I was only a floor above him. So I was like, oh, well, the print sold out, but I have something better. Can I just give him a painting? I'm a huge, like, it was just like, oh, I'll just give him the painting. And they were just like
$10,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I never, like, I still don't even know how to charge for my work. So I was just like, oh, I'll give him the painting. Like, this to me, this made sense. Right. It was just like, yeah, give him the painting. It's better than a print. And so they were like, are you kidding? They were like, dude, his birthday's in like 2 weeks. They were like, if you did that, we'll pay you for it. We'll do whatever. Like, just if you can get down there. And I was like, oh, I can get down there. I'm right upstairs. Like, it's easy. And they were like, what? And so basically, like, I got the painting, gave it to their assistant, then like got a message. It was like, hey, like, he loved it. This is cool. And then they invited me over to his house, and like we put up the painting together, and that's kind of like how it started. And then we're like mutual fans of each other. And then it just kind of goes on from there. Then he would call me back in for projects, and called me back in for Sucker Punch. And it was awesome. It was like, that's like one of the best professionally, one of the best projects I worked on by far. And it was completely out of my wheelhouse. Every single thing up to when I did Sucker Punch, the only 2 things that I didn't draw, or the only 3 things that I didn't draw: girls, vehicles, and weapons. And the only thing that I got hired to do in Sucker Punch: girls, weapons, and vehicles.
I remember when you had to draw the girls for the shirts, and you were like kind of freaking out. You're
my God.
Like, I don't know how to do this. I'll make, if I have too many wrinkles, make them ugly. Like, I mean, you did a great job. I mean, those images are super dope. But I remember you were really like nervous about that the entire time. You kept like really second guessing yourself.
Yeah, it's crazy. Drawing like really good and stuff was nuts. And design, I got to design weapons for it. I got to design the swords and work with blacksmiths and stuff. It was it was an awesome experience.
I have a cool memory. So we were lucky enough to go visit the Sucker Punch movie studio or movie set up in Vancouver, and we were there for like a week probably, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we saw, it was so neat seeing Alex's stuff built. Like, we saw like the mech suit, we saw like the sword, we saw all the things that he like drew on paper that were built and now put onto a screen. It was just,
dude, the 40-foot stage was the craziest.
Like he built like he designed like the thing for it. Was just weird. It felt so weird. I remember just walking and going like, what is going on here? It was just such a cool thing. I was like really happy for you.
So
shout out Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
If people want to check out your concept art, where's the best spot to see the work that you did?
You probably could just Google my name and Sucker Punch. There is a book. There is, I mean, like, no, I'm not trying to be like a dick. Like, that's probably the best way. But there is a book called The Art of Sucker Punch that has a ton of the stuff that I did in it.
Nice. That's cool. I think I found this on a Screen Rant article. So, but there might be a Art of Sucker Punch out there book that you can check out. Cool. So yeah, back to
the best piece.
So, yeah, so this piece is on sale right now, and if you go on the main NoCon website, how much is this piece going for the print right now?
It's $100.
100? Cool.
Yeah, $100 for 18 by 24 print. It's a time released, so however many sell at the show is the edition size.
Oh, cool.
We're not going to print them again, and this is
free
your last
shipping.
chance. Free shipping, yeah. $100. That's it. So
nice. Yeah, this is
and it'll be signed. There's no signature on that one, but we're gonna both sign them, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it.
I love that piece.
I might have to snag one of these. It's pretty sweet.
And just so you know, even something like as amazing as like working with Zack Snyder is or whatever, like he would never ask me to draw that.
Exactly.
You know, like it's like that's like something that like we just have to do, and then it makes me happy.
Yeah,
that's cool. No, you always got to like keep your own IP going for sure. Like no matter what else gets in the way, you still got to tell your own stories and do your own thing.
Also, maybe he would. It's just hard to describe. Like, be like, hey, I'm thinking of like maybe there's like a weird double-headed guy that's stabbing his own Siamese twin in the mouth, and they're falling apart.
Why not, man? Yeah, no, I would watch that movie. I would definitely watch that. So this is so you've got a Bright Mare's book for sale right now?
The books are sold out.
Oh, okay.
I did actually this special edition book. That's funny that you bring this up. because I did right before this interview, exclusively in the last panel that I did like a special edition book drop with this specific book in it, and we sold them out during the panel, during the stream. So
All right.
Yeah, but just so you know, that like the special edition, he hand writes on those covers. So usually there's like a printed cover that says Bright Mirrors, but he has a blank cover with no. I mean, the image itself is printed, but he hand writes the word Bright Mirrors inside him, and that's what makes it the special edition.
Yeah, that's awesome. But too bad it's sold out.
yeah, but the regular edition will be back in stock in like a month or so, probably.
Okay, cool. So the reprints are coming. All right. And Dave, you recently did a video for this piece, right?
Yeah, that's sold out too. Sorry. so but that's cool though. I'm really proud of this. So this is an oil. So I did an oil painting of this shape, and this was actually I can probably grab it for you. Well, so I did an oil painting that was cut out on this piece of wood. And I've always wanted to have prints of this type of stuff, but I never liked the idea of having like, you know, the demon shape with the white background. So what I did was, this is basically, I did a giclée print and then mounted onto a piece of cutout wood and then cut the paper around it to make like a giclée print on wood. So
much work.
I mean, yeah, it's
cool.
I spent quite a bit of time on each one, and it was a really low edition size. It was only 20.
It's worth it though. It's so
they
cool.
sold out the first or second day of NoCon, but I like this series. I started this series for Upper Playground in Portland. I did a solo show there a couple of years ago, and I had a whole wall of like these cutout demons. I think I had like 26 of them, and I kind of patterned them on the wall like in this certain like, I don't know, like gargoyle type of pattern. And I just always liked the idea of just like painting on like on a routed shape that's made a certain way. So I've always wanted to have a print of that, and this was the best way I could figure out how to do a print. But I was really happy how it came out. Like the prints are like,
it's thick too, right? It's about 1/2 inch.
It's a 1/2 inch. Yeah, it looks really good. I can show you one really quick if I want to.
Yeah. Let's check it out.
It's cool. I got jealous. I remember when we were kind of putting products together, like Dave was really excited about talking about this one, and
so just to show you a comparison.
Oh, sorry. I was telling them a funny story, Dave, that I don't know if you remember.
So this right here is the original. Try not to get some glare. So this is the original.
Let me.
It's on a 1/2 inch piece of wood, and this is the print. I mean, they're essentially. I'm trying to. It's hard for me to see like right's left is right. So one's a print, one's the original.
Wow.
There.
Yeah. Which one's which?
This is a print. This is original.
Nice. Yeah, that's
so crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm getting a little bit of glare, but they like I seriously, if you hold them side by side, I can't tell the difference unless I get really close. I can only tell because one has wood grain and one has paper grain. But yeah, so
that's pretty great. So the trend that I'm seeing is that you guys have been doing live videos, live sessions, and then things are just sold out. So
well, not specific. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you. Dave and I both only had like 2 or 3 items that were actually had limited quantities. A lot of the stuff that we released during NoCon are timed editions. So that was another thing that we really wanted to do. Like when you're at Comic Con, as I'm sure you know, you bring a limited supply. So there's people that could show up at Friday, buy everything, and then you're just apologizing to people for Saturday and Sunday. So we wanted to figure out what's a way that we could do this where no matter how much competition is out there in the world, at any time throughout this NoCon, you could just come over to our site and buy it, and we'd have most of it in stock. So because of stuff like the handmade stuff, like, you know, with Dave's print, obviously that's not unlimited, but all the other stuff, the shirts, the prints, all that stuff are all time limited. So you order them now, and then we're going to be shipping them out in about 3 weeks. So we're going to get them to anybody, but you can't buy them after Sunday.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you haven't unveiled yet, like for the rest of the weekend, or is everything live right now that's going to be there for the week?
So I sold out of sculptures like on the first day, and I just started working on a new batch. I'll probably post those on Saturday. I just started today on them. I didn't think they'd sell out that fast. I thought they would last like a little while. They usually do. So I'm working on a new batch of sculptures that will probably go up on Saturday. I just need to like assess what I have, take some photos, and then post them. So I haven't really done that yet. It's a lot of work.
And I don't have anything planned for the rest of the weekend. Everything that I have is released, aside from the stuff that'll be released at Comic Con at home, but through other companies, not myself. But I'm always super spontaneous, so I might oh, that's true.
The Arby shirt.
Jared Eccles, that's right. I did a panel where I had the Twitch chat help art direct me and to force me into drawing a shirt using kind of this process of elimination where we figured out words and subjects and then we all voted
It was
on them.
really funny,
So,
like the way they narrow.
It was all Photoshop, like all crazy.
Well, so tomorrow, that was just like the sample. So tomorrow, which I have to finish it tonight, finish most of it so that I can actually work on it tomorrow and finish it. We have part 2 of that, which is I have to unveil and finish a shirt that has a trash monster, an octopus, and representation of Arby's, and it has to be half photoshopped, half illustrated, full color, and on a dark shirt.
That's
So,
And cute.
and it has to be a cute element.
okay. Hang, I gotta find this. Let me so I can put it up so we can see it. Where?
Oh no, it's not. I haven't designed it yet.
Okay. Oh, but there was like a sample. Was it on Instagram or something?
The sample was just like help me. It was just an ad to say help me design a shirt.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Okay, yeah, cool.
But that'll be and then what we're gonna do as soon as I'm done with the shirt, it's gonna go up in my Threadless site, which is an on-demand site, so we can be able to put stuff up instantly. So
Yeah.
it'll just be a fun little thing that like even if 2 people buy
That's
it,
just that's such a funny idea. Like it's gonna be like the most ridiculous shirt that you can just instantly make.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
I don't know if you guys are gonna like it, but I can tell you something.
I'm gonna fucking get one.
I am pretty stoked on the trash monster that I got going on. Just to give you guys a heads up. Haven't finished it, haven't done it, but I'm pretty stoked on it. I was hating it for a while. I was stressing.
Is he a cutie?
I'm not even gonna tell you that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I'm curious. I'm gonna be as excited as everybody else.
So where are you going to debut it? Is it going to be on your website or is it on?
I'm gonna finish it hopefully on stream tomorrow at my panel, which I believe is at 1:00 on my Twitch channel, and then it'll be the one thing that's separate from our other websites because we're putting it up through Threadless, which is I have a shop on Threadless, which is an on-demand site. So it'll be just because it's more of a sport of the moment thing.
That's awesome. So I wanted to pull up this bad boy.
Oh yeah, that's also a time release. I made that for my painting class. I taught an online painting class this past summer, and I've never taught before, so this is really new for me. So I was teaching all these students through Zoom and stuff, and I was being very like I don't know how to do this. So I'm like, oh, let's paint a sphere. Let's paint some blends. Let's paint some oak trees. And I felt like for a while I was getting too boring, but I was really trying to be technical. So one day I'm like, all right, let's take a day and this is pick your favorite pop culture character and we'll paint it. So everyone picked like their favorite ones. And I'm like, oh, I'll pick Bart Simpson. So I drew a Bart Simpson and that was it.
And even the regular one was sick.
Yeah, I drew I can go grab it, but I drew like a Bart Simpson. Actually, I'll get it. Might as well. Hold on.
So while I was getting that, so one of my absolute favorite artists of all time is Tom Wright.
So for my painting class, I drew like a
hang
Bart
on,
Simpson.
Let me unpin this again.
So this is Bart Simpson I drew, and this is the other one I drew.
So good. Both of those are good.
Yeah, and they're on cardboard. I teach the students to paint on cardboard because I don't want anything to be like sacred. I just want people to like paint and put them away, paint, put away. So like I'm just like I have this like momentum in our class where it's like, all right, paint, move along. I don't want anything to be on wood or canvas because then it's like, oh, that costs money. So these are all on cardboard. But anyway, so I like the Bart Simpson. And I decided to scan this guy and do some extra elements and have him for NoCon. So he's a NoCon exclusive. I'm only gonna have him available through Sunday, and then that's it. I'm gonna throw him away.
That's cool, man. Like I'm really getting like a night gallery vibe from this. Like one of my all-time favorite artists is Thomas Wright, who did all the night gallery paintings from the 70s.
Oh, cool.
And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, like just I could totally see this being like a, you know, like the beginning of a night gallery going into a Simpsons episode or something. It's pretty badass.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let me see what else we got here. All right. So after this weekend wraps up, what's next for you guys?
Dave?
I mean, I think we're gonna spend some time shipping orders, ordering stuff. I mean, no con is
we
gonna.
have to take care of all of this.
Yeah, we have to make sure everything gets to its destination. But after that, like, you know, it's hard to make plans with everything going on. I don't have anything really penciled in. I didn't want to. It's weird because, like, you know, I do like 5 shows a year. So usually I travel quite a bit, and I haven't done that for a while now. I haven't left the house since November. So I kind of want to just like take a little private trip, like a little vacation, maybe like in September, and just like kind of go
Come
somewhere.
down here
Like,
and help me work.
Yeah, I just want to go. I want to get like lost in the woods for like a couple weeks. I just need that. I think, like, mentally and spiritually. I just don't want to be around people for a while. But I'm pretty sure.
I like it. Like you're still acting as if it was a real Comic-Con.
I know, but like,
you're like, I don't want to be
just
around
feel-
people for a while.
I know. I know. Right? I want to get away from not being around people. Right. I think I want to get away from like just online too. I just want to.
Yeah, the online stuff is savage, dude.
I want
It's
to turn
like-
my phone off or
strange.
leave my phone at home and just like go somewhere for a couple
Yeah.
weeks and just come back and just be like, all right, what happened? You know,
Yeah.
probably awful things, but I don't have anything planned. I don't want to plan anything because I don't know. I'm so uncertain with everything that's been happening or not happening. So for me, my biggest thing is I just want to kind of like get away for a while. So that's it.
I'm opposite. But I'm gonna say that I want to get away for a while, but
I just want to say I kind of try to talk you out of that.
I know. You did. Dave is a very, very good life coach to me, and 85% of the time I take his advice and what he says. Sometimes I don't. But I just committed to recently. I'm doing my first big solo art show at the end of the year in December.
Wow.
The first one that I've done in 5 years is what I should say. So it's a huge deal to me. We're working out how it's going to actually work because basically, like you're saying, we have no idea what things are like. So we're not planning on having like an opening with like a lot of people, obviously. But I did get a space. I am collaborating with an art gallery that I really love that I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say right now, but but it's going to be really great. We got a big warehouse. It's going to be in Santa Monica, which is around LA, and it's going to be cool. So even if it's just a virtual thing, I still have a space that I'm going to build a new world in.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's cool. If you met what I'm doing art wise, like I one thing I've always wanted to do is like stop motion animation. And one of the things, like when that heavy metal cover, the Rob Sonic thing, we storyboarded out this entire thing, and we talked about doing like an animation or stop motion. And I actually bought a camera, and I have some like, I got some wood. I have all this stuff at my studio to like build a set. So like that's like the next thing I kind of want to do on the side as far as like.
You're super good at figuring stuff out.
Yeah. So like I've been slowly gathering the things to do that. Like I have like this tripod that like kind of goes back and forth for like panning. Once I get all that stuff, I'm gonna slowly just kind of like do that. And I've done some stop motion before in college when I was like studying animation, so I understand the principles of animation. I just need to kind of like do it, and it's really a personal thing. It's nothing for like, you know, it's not for anything. It's just something I want to like kind of like hone in on and just experiment with. So that's what I'm really interested in.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, well, I can't wait to see the stop motion. I can't wait to see Alex's solo show. Both those sound pretty badass.
I can't wait to see it either. I don't know what I'm doing.
I know. Well, Alex, it sounds like you have a lot of stuff to do tonight, so I don't want to hold you up.
Oh yeah, I gotta work on an entire t-shirt design. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna
You
probably
gave
take off
yourself
soon.
tons of homework with that, dude. You're like,
Dude,
yeah, I'm busy.
dude, it's funny.
I'm busy. I'm gonna give myself another assignment.
Yeah, I don't mind. This is what it's about. Like, honestly, like I was talking to, like, I've been texting with a few other people, friends of mine who are doing their own kind of like conventions or whatever. And like during this time, and it's like, I feel like, Dave, you and I talked about this originally. It's like, I don't care if it's equally just as okay to just like release some stuff online and say like, hey, I would have released this at Comic Con. Now I'm releasing it here. It's like, in my mind, like I don't want to say I owe it to you, but I enjoy the fact of like, if I was at Comic Con, I would sit at my booth and I would try to sell stuff. And so it's like, like that's what we're doing. It's like, we're sitting at our booth. Our booth is different. It looks different. We're at home, whatever. So that there's going to be a different way of trying to sell stuff. But it's like, if that means that I'm going to sit here and draw for a bunch of people instead of drawing for one person at a booth, like that's what I want to do. So
totally. No, yeah, no, you're doing it right.
Right on, man.
We're doing it right.
Yeah. Well, you guys have definitely inspired me, to want to, like make sure that I'm like creating a presence during the vacuum of when the shows are supposed to.
Oh, you will. If you're setting up in a driveway, that's good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So are you going to broadcast the driveway thing?
Well, so the problem is, so I'm going to have some live footage like during the driveway. So there'll be some YouTube live stuff, Instagram live happening during the show. Cause we're keeping regular Comic-Con hours. So we have preview night tomorrow night is going to be from 5 until 8:30.
Wait, is it preview night tonight?
Well, for regular Comic-Con, but for driveway.
I see.
For driveway con, we're doing a 3-day show.
Gotcha.
So we're going from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Gotcha.
But and then 10 until 6 on Saturday, and then 10 until 5 on Sunday. But the local news channel wanted to come down here and cover it. But then
sick.
a lot of people that were involved were like, bad idea, because we don't want to get like too many people at your house.
I see. Right. You don't want people just driving by.
COVID party where everybody gets sick, because
Right.
So it's really been a fine line of trying to get enough people to come to make it worth everyone's while, but not getting too many people where it's unsafe. So,
I mean, are you going to be able to have people regulating the amount of people? Like if people were just driving by and they're getting out of their car and there's already 10 people there.
I'm going to be checking everybody in at the end of the driveway. And so I'm only going to be letting in like 7 or 8 people into the yard at a time. And so, and we have like, we have an abandoned house, on the other side of us. So I'm going to just down the sidewalk, I'm just going to have everything checked off to where it's the same thing as going into like a Trader Joe's where you have to wait 6 feet apart to get in, and nobody can come in until the other person leaves. So we have a system in place to try to keep it as safe as we can.
Right.
That's cool, man. See, like you're doing something different. Like I don't know. This is I like everything right now is experimental.
Yeah.
Like there's no right or wrong way. I mean, I guess there's wrong ways, but like this is all a learning experience. Everything.
I don't think there's wrong ways. I think there's ways you wouldn't do it next time.
Right.
True. Yeah.
It's all a learning experience.
I mean, I guess the only wrong way would be to like have a COVID party.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I meant, like, don't go in there like buck naked with no mask on,
We're doing the best we can.
Like COVID con is like, no, that's bad too.
COVID con would be awful.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm already kind of thinking about like what the next show is going to be, because I think I want to put something together for how the Halloween season, like do something similar to this.
Yeah, I mean, me and Alex do like what I do a little more shows than you. I think I do like 5. You probably do like 2 or 3, right? But like,
basically, mainly the 2 are Comic Con, Designer Con, but then last year I also did WonderCon with yesterday. So
yeah, so I feel like I don't know if it's important to fill those vacancies. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it's. I don't know. It's this is all experimental.
We'll reassess after this.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a big thing. Is like, okay, did this work? Did it not? Like, what do we learn? Like.
Well, it sounds like it's working great.
Yeah.
So far, so good, right?
Yeah,
I'm having
made
fun.
it halfway through. I just got to draw a trash monster tonight.
We also got to figure out. We got to figure out our movie night for Friday night.
I know. Yeah, we got to look through. That's going to be fun.
What did you guys show previously?
Slithis.
Slithis, dude. Slithis was awful. I haven't even. Have you finished watching it?
I did. It's terrible, but
Okay.
they do. There is a lot more monster stuff in it later.
I've tried watching the end of it. So through Alex's Twitch, we had a watch party, and we picked this movie called Slithis. It's like a 1978. Like, it's a Corman film, right? Is it Roger Corman?
Maybe not. I don't know. It
kind of feels like it, but like it's basically a guy in a suit type movie, like a swamp monster looking thing. But halfway through it just like stopped, so we couldn't finish the party. But it was fun. Like, we were watching it, people were typing on the side, and everyone was super fun. Like, everyone in the chat was really, really funny, but we didn't get a chance to finish it. So I've tried to watch it a couple of times, and I watch it in bed when I'm passing out, and I haven't made it past the same spot. I'm still stuck right in the goddamn middle. I haven't seen past like them in bed or something like that. So
just fast forwarded to after he calls the girl Jeff.
Yeah.
See, Riz in the chat says it's a good napping movie.
It's a good environmentally.
It puts you to sleep. It's like taking a sleeping pill.
Right on. Well, I think I've held you guys up for about an hour and a half, and I know Alex has got to work on that trash monster. Where can we guys find you online aside from your websites?
I think just NoCon. Oh, you mean like as far? Well, you should visit NoCon 2020 for our NoCon2020.com, and that has our streaming schedules and information about what Dave and I put together called NoCon during this time. But also, my socials are all just at Alex Pardee, all one word, ALEXPARDEE.
Cool.
Yeah, on this, my social is at Dave Correia, DAVECORREIA. But yeah, check NoCon. I mean, the NoCon2020.com has our like Twitch schedule. It's really the Bible we're kind of following as far as like when we're streaming, what we're doing. And it has like all the information of all the panels, and we're trying to stick close to that. We're having some technical difficulties almost every time, it seems like, but we're working through it and it's working. So that's cool.
Yeah,
I'm so happy that you guys joined me for our panel tonight. So
yeah, and dude, good luck. I'm so stoked you're doing this. I hope. I feel like of all the cons I've been seeing, I think that you're like what you're doing is cool. Like, it's got your own website, you're doing like your own show, you're making the panels. Like, I dig it, man.
Well, following your guys' template, you guys are doing it right. So, kudos to both of you guys.
Cool, man. Well, good luck.
All right.
Thanks for having us, for sure.
All right. Well, we'll see you at the close on Sunday.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, guys. All right. We're signing off. Adios.
Cool.